They always say you should trust your gut, and for most of my life, I thought that was just something people said to make sense of fear. But let me tell you something. When I moved to Chestnut Ridge, a little cookie-cutter neighborhood in the middle of nowhere, Ohio, I learned real fast that ignoring your gut can cost you everything: your sanity, your safety, and even your brother. It started small. A weird look from a neighbor. A note taped to my trash bin about leaving it out too long. A comment about the color of my mulch. You know, the kind of nitpicky stuff you laugh off until it stops being funny. Until it feels like you're not just being watched, you're being studied. I moved to Chestnut Ridge after a rough patch in my life. My job in the city had worn me down, the constant noise and concrete and empty smiles. My older brother Ezra, the kind of guy who drinks his coffee black and speaks in sentences that feel like warnings had moved there a year earlier, said it was peaceful, quiet, good for people like us who wanted to disappear for a while. The day I arrived, Ezra helped me move in without much small talk. We unloaded boxes like we were stacking sandbags before a flood. That night we sat on my porch, and he said, "You're gonna want blackout curtains. And whatever you do, stay off the HOA radar." I laughed. "What? You mean like not painting my house neon green?" He didn't laugh back. Just sipped his coffee. "Just trust me." The next morning I met a guy named Carl. Looked like someone's retired uncle. Khakis, a windbreaker, visor, even walked a leash with no dog attached. Walked straight up to me and said, "You didn't get your welcome packet. Trash day is Monday. Mulch needs to be dark brown. No curb parking after 11 p.m. I blinked. "Is that all in writing?" "Not officially," he said, then nodded like he was giving me permission to exist, and walked off. When I told Ezra, he didn't flinch. Carl thinks he runs things. He doesn't. No one does. And that's the problem. Chestnut Ridge didn't have a real HOA. No website. No board meetings. Just whispers, anonymous notes, and Carl doing laps at 6:03 a.m. sharp. Every day? Then stuff started getting strange. My internet went out every night at 9 p.m. on the dot. My neighbor's mailbox opened and shut 3 times with no mail delivered. A drone hovered over my yard, then zipped away when I looked up. I chalked it up to bad luck or bad tech until I got my first violation. Typed note. No envelope. No return address. Just, "You've exceeded acceptable porch light brightness. Please adjust to community standard." First warning. I didn't even have a porch light yet. I showed the note to Ezra. He didn't even look surprised. Just said, "Start turning your cameras inward." Why? Because they already know you're here. That night, I did exactly that. And at 2:19 a.m., I saw someone standing motionless in my backyard, just outside the edge of the camera's field. Not stealing, not moving, just watching. And by the time I got outside, they were gone. The next morning, another note. Residents are reminded not to install unapproved surveillance equipment. Noncompliance will be escalated. Nobody knew I had cameras. Not even Ezra. I started digging. No official HOA records with the county. No registration. Nothing. The notices had no headers, no logos. Just bold fonts and threats. I called a friend from college, Kira, a cybersecurity contractor. Asked her to ping the street. An hour later she called back. "Your whole block is on a mirrored subnet. Someone's spoofing your traffic." That's not residential behavior. That's surveillance infrastructure. Then came the fake cops. 2 guys in windbreakers. Badges that didn't have a seal, just barcodes. Claimed to be from the Community Operations Compliance Board. "You violated light pollution standards," one said. I asked, "According to who?" "The initiative," he said. "You mean the HOA?" "It's not the HOA. It's the initiative. We maintain order." Ezra later told me, "You shouldn't have opened the door. They weren't here for the light. They were watching how you react." That same night, he gave me a burner phone and said, "If someone knocks 3 times and doesn't say anything, don't open the door. Ever." A few days later, Ezra was gone. 4:17 a.m. 3 knocks. No voice. I ran to his house. His front door was ajar. Inside, it was spotless. like no one had ever lived there. Except for one thing, a Polaroid on the floor. Ezra, gagged, bruised, tied to a chair. Marked, Subject 4B, reclassified. I tried calling the cops. No answer. Tried driving to the station. Woman at the desk smiled and said, "Write it down. We'll forward it to Neighborhood Liaison Services." I said, "That's not a real thing." She leaned forward and said, "For your safety, let it go." Back home, a new family was already moving into Ezra's place. Movers. Laughter. Someone setting up a grill. Like the man hadn't been kidnapped 12 hours earlier. His name erased from county records. Photos on my phone. Blurred. Like memory decay. But engineered. That's when Mallory showed up. Black suit. Tactical braid. Said she worked with Ezra. Said he was embedded to monitor the initiative, but went rogue. Said I was flagged 6 years ago and didn't know it. She showed me a project I own, a web of nodes and programs. Neighborhoods like Chestnut Ridge, all connected. All monitored. All part of a massive data experiment disguised as suburban bliss. Ezra had listed me as a failsafe. "You're different," she said. "You passed their thresholds without knowing. That scares them." She gave me a choice. Come with her. No goodbyes. No bags. Or stay and vanish. I went. We raided a site outside town, industrial shell hiding a lab. Found Ezra strapped to a chair. Weak, alive, muttering about a deeper plan. Ran simulations on him. Asked about me. Why I was stable. We got him out. Barely. Then came the truth bomb. Carl, the leash guy. Real name, Daniel Avery. Former counter-intel. Vanished in 2009. Re-emerged here as HOA nanny from hell. He didn't just enforce the rules. He built the experiment. And he was proud of it. "You think you're free now," he said. "You're part of the logic tree. You are the next branch." Ezra didn't wait for permission. He shot Carl in the head. Fallout came fast. Names leaked. Facilities shut down. The initiative fractured. But not destroyed. Ezra and I split up. New identities. Different states. But before we did, he handed me a phone and said, "If you ever hear the phrase community oversight again, run." It's been 6 months. No knocks. No envelopes. But some nights I wake at 4:17 a.m. and check the porch. Just in case. Because if there's one thing I learned in Chestnut Ridge, it's that the system never dies. It adapts. And it waits. What would you do if your entire neighborhood was fake? If your neighbors were actors? If the welcome packet was a trap? Let me know in the comments. Hit like if this gave you chills, and share this with someone who trusts their HOA a little too much. And remember, if the knock comes at 4:17 a.m. and no one speaks, don't open the door.